Hi guys, it's Charles here with Charles Harrison Music. This one is very suitable for beginner guitarists, but again, also teachers who might find this useful in helping their students. The F chord, this bar chord here, this is one of the biggest problem chords for beginner guitarists. We get lots of people who will come up with other ways of playing it, simplifying it. This is just one method that I've found is quite useful for students. I've got a lad who's 8 years old who this week managed to learn this chord this way. He'd been working on it himself, was sounding a little bit ropey, and after a little bit of work, we've managed to be able to get this F chord sounding excellent. This is going to be 2 stages now. Before you start this lesson, you should have a C chord learnt by this stage. So this is the C chord I'm referring to. Now if you don't have that chord really well learned, then you're probably going to find an F chord difficult. And an important thing to note here is to try and keep your fingers nice and curved at all times. We don't want flat fingers like this. We don't want flat fingers, otherwise we're going to sound like this. If you're getting all those sort of noises, try bringing your wrist a little bit further forward. It's actually your elbow that comes further forward, and your fingers should have a nice curve to them. To get this F chord, we're going to start on this C chord, and the main issue people have is they try and do too many things at once. So this is actually, to get from a C to an F, it's a 3-step process. So first of all, we start with our C chord. Now we're going to, first of all, add our little finger to the chord. So the little finger is going to go on the 3rd fret, directly below your ring finger, which gives us like a sus chord. Now, if you can't get those notes ringing and sounding good, then you need to practice that step. The second step is to take your middle finger and drop that down a string. So your middle finger is now on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And again, let's check those 5 strings. They're all sounding good, so we can move on. The 3rd and final step is the 1st finger is going to flatten. Now, when you're first getting used to this, just play the bottom 2 strings, and eventually, of course, we will be playing all 6 strings. I'll talk about that in a moment. But for now, that 1st finger just flattens, and you double check that both of those notes are sounding good enough. And we go through all 5 notes, and that is a perfectly acceptable F chord. So I'm going to take you through that process one more time, just in case I wasn't clear on any of that. So we start on a C. Little finger, middle finger goes down, and 1st finger flattens. C chord, little finger, middle finger, 1st finger. And you think it in 3 stages. When I move from a C to an F, although in my head it's all one stage, if I watch myself doing it, I notice that this is the order my fingers actually move in. When you've done this so many times, of course, just like anything in life, you no longer think about the little details. But I've sort of reverse engineered this and figured how my hand has come up with the cleverest way to solve this problem. Little finger, middle finger, 1st finger. And like I said, if you can't get each of those stages sounding good, don't move on to the next one yet. So you want to be practicing just a C chord with this additional little finger. When that sounds good, middle finger goes down a string, check that all of those strings sound good. And then finally flatten this 1st finger. Okay, so now you've got that sounding good, the final step is how to get this full bar. The main reason people struggle with a bar chord is because, first of all, they're applying the pressure in the wrong way, and they're applying the pressure with the wrong thing. First of all, we're in the habit of pushing with the tip of our finger. People do a bar, and really they're sort of arching over the strings like that. Okay, so they're not really pressing the strings. The pressure's on the top and bottom string, but not in the middle. The pressure has to be evenly applied across the entire finger. Quite importantly, again, if you look at how I'm doing this, there's quite a lot of finger over the top of the guitar. Okay, you can see there's quite a lot of my finger over the top. I'm not just putting the tip on there and trying to bar from that point. I've got about a tip over the edge of the guitar. In terms of how to apply the pressure, we need that even pressure across the whole finger. The finger is very weak. The finger is not what applies the pressure. First of all, we've got this crab claw. We've got the thumb on the back of the guitar, which should be perfectly in the middle of the guitar. Nothing like going over the top like this or underneath the guitar. None of that. It should be perfectly bang in the middle. The finger and the thumb squeeze. For some people, that may be enough to get you a nice sound. However, generally speaking, I find that that's still not enough pressure for beginners. So how do we get the extra pressure? Well, the fingers weren't strong enough, so the next thing is to incorporate the arm. And all we do is we think about pulling our elbows behind us. Now, if I just pull my left elbow back, the entire guitar is going to swivel, which is no good. So we also pull back with our right elbow, which is on the body of the guitar. Some people need to really yank their guitar in order to get this happening. But every note there is ringing. Now, the stronger your fingers get, the more you play, the less pressure you're going to have to put on. Your arms are very strong, so don't break your guitar. Pull your elbows back, use that claw, and that should be more than enough. So back to the full chord now. We start with our C. Little finger goes down, middle finger, and the full finger, claw, and elbows. And every note there is ringing true. Final point here is, especially if you're an adult learner, it's very easy to get yourself frustrated. And we're very critical of ourselves. When I'm teaching 5 and 6 year olds, they just sit there and they think they sound amazing, even if they sound terrible. And that's a really, really great attitude to have. You should have the same. We just get so self-critical that we give up and say, oh, I'm rubbish, I'm not designed to do this. No one's designed to play the guitar. A really useful thing to do is always check with all of your chords that every note is ringing. You can have a chord that sounds great. Here's a C chord. Doesn't sound half bad, but if I now play that one note at a time, we've got some things not quite right there. So we really need to fix every individual note. And it's the same when you're building up this F chord. Make sure every single note, and you don't get none of that nonsense. If you're getting that, you're not ready to move on yet. Hopefully you found that lesson useful, guys. As always, please do click that like button, share this with anyone who might find it useful. I've no doubt you've got many friends and family who have given up playing the guitar because of an F chord. So maybe share this with them and see if you can get them playing again. Please do click that subscribe button, and you can do that in the end screen now. Nice to see you. Cheers.